I have very successful companies. Let me just explain. I'm going to do this in about 2 seconds.
Trump Mortgage.
And welcome to the Trump Network.
Trump Airline.
When it comes to great steaks, come to the castle in Atlantic City.
We have Trump Magazine, Trump Vodka, and Trump University. I have very successful companies.
Believe me, believe me, believe me.
There's Hillary's latest attack ad as she tries to turn up the heat on Donald Trump. But I've got to tell you, if the Donald isn't exactly a hot commodity among those who he was not their first choice for president, it appears that some Republicans are warming to the idea of his candidacy, or at the very least, inclined to work now toward unity within the grand old party. Joining us now by Skype, the president and CEO of the Family Leader, leading conservative Bob Vander Plaats, who was supporting Ted Cruz. He joins us via Skype from Iowa. And Bob, it's always good to have you on Newsmax Prime.
Well, it's always great to be on Newsmax Prime, JD, and with you.
Well, thank you, sir. And yesterday, you were with Donald Trump for a bit of the day. Tell us about that meeting and where you guys go from here.
Well, first of all, JD, it was a private meeting. I reached out to him by email, congratulated him. He got back to me and suggested, that we do a one-on-one meeting. So I went ahead and I took a one-on-one meeting yesterday with him. And I think the good news, for conservatives is that he's opening up the door. He's willing to have conversations. He met with me yesterday, and then he really upped it a notch a big way and met with Henry Kissinger yesterday. So some of the people who haven't always been supporters of Mr. Trump, now he has an open door with, is willing to dialogue. As I said yesterday to him, this isn't about endorsing right now, so he didn't give an endorsement yesterday. There's no promise of an endorsement. It's just an opportunity to dialogue and have conversation, and so I was very thankful for that yesterday.
So just so I have this straight, you're not going to make news tonight here on Newsmax Prime. You're not going to come on and endorse Donald Trump while you're now on national television, Bob?
That would be a great way to go. But I think what I said yesterday, there's 3 or 4 options. One is you go all in for Trump. 2 is you cast a vote for Hillary, which obviously I'm not going to do. 3 is you sit it out and you focus on down ballot races. Or 4, you get around an independent candidate, which I'm not so sure one of those exists right now that can champion and have a pathway to victory. So I've told our team, and I've told a lot of people who support us, I would take a deep breath, a deep cleansing breath, allow things to settle a little bit, allow to see what candidate Trump now, presumptive nominee Trump now, what he looks like, what he sounds like. And then, everyone's going to have to weigh their own conscience in regards to what action they take. But we do know we need leadership today in this country.
So, just stepping back and taking a deep breath. Just to make sure I have this right, Bob.
Sure.
All right. There are some Republicans holding office who apparently are still not ready to get behind the Donald. My old colleague, Florida Congresswoman Ileana RosLehtinen, is among that group reluctant to support Trump.
I respect everybody's right to vote for whoever they want to vote for, and he is going to be the nominee. I'm not going to support him nor Hillary Clinton. I expected Jeb Bush to be our nominee. I expected Marco Rubio to be our nominee. That did not happen.
She's saying that she might write in Marco's name, and certainly she has a right to do so. But again, we're back to a fundamental argument, Bob. If you write in someone else or you sit it out, isn't that, in essence, a vote for Hillary?
Well, obviously, people can make an argument like that, because if you're going to sit out the election, or if you're going to be #NeverTrump, or if you're going to write in somebody else, obviously that is your right to do that. But you also have to take a look at, what are the consequences of that decision. Now, for those of us in the faith community, we try to hold to a higher standard, and we put principle over politics. We want to make sure that the person we're casting a vote for is worthy of our vote. And if we actually endorse somebody, we need to make sure that they're worthy of our endorsement. And that's why I've told everybody, let's just take a deep breath right now. There's no reason to get into a #anything movement right now. Let's have a chance. Let's have dialogue. Let's have conversation. Let's come to grips with our choices and reality. And then let's start making decisions. This has been an unpredictable campaign from day one. We're in uncharted territory. I don't think there's any reason to be in a hurry right now. I don't think that benefits Donald Trump. and I don't think it benefits the conservative movement either.
Well, let's see if Donald Trump's announcement of 11 potential Supreme Court nominees will help. Because I just got to confess to you, Bob, sometimes on the floor of Congress with different pieces of legislation, I'd look at the board and see who was voting against it to take my cue. If the left was against it, I was inclined to vote for it. And sure enough, the White House is deciding to criticize the Donald Josh Earnest on those prospective appointees.
I would be surprised if there are any Democrats who would describe any of those 11 individuals as a consensus nominee. But the individual that President Obama has put forward is somebody that Republicans have described as a consensus nominee.
All right, so there's Josh. Isn't he perfectly named Josh Earnest? Joking about the truth. But he was making the point, we have a consensus pick. But I'm, quite frankly, more interested from your take on it. Were those proposed selections conservative enough, the way you view things? In other words, is this a positive sign for Donald Trump and his candidacy?
Well, it is a positive sign for Donald Trump and his candidacy. As a matter of fact, when I saw those 11 names put out and started to read the reviews on them, I was very encouraged. And matter of fact, you're right. If Josh Earnest is saying negative things about that list, then I'm going to be very positive about that list. The only hiccup I saw there, though, JD, is that Donald Trump then did come out a little bit later and said, well, there'll be more names that'll be added to the list. This isn't the entire list. And so all of a sudden, that's where conservatives start putting in the clutch again in regards to, well, who else is going to come on the list? Now, if it's like those 11, again, we're going to be very encouraged. And that's why I really believe who he surrounds himself with is going to be so critical. And the first indicator of that is going to be who's his vice president choice? Who's that vice president appointment? And I believe he's had such a great team of rivals, those who competed against him in the Republican primary. He needs to be looking at some of those people to make up his cabinet. I think it could be outstanding choices if he wants to move down that direction.
Well, would you talk about that? Just one final question in the short time that remains. Who is your choice for number 2, Bob?
Well, I think it either needs to be Ted Cruz or somebody like a Ted Cruz. Someone who's still viewed as an outsider, but who has practical experience in Congress, who knows the system, who's very bright, who's very articulate, and quite frankly, has a lot of support on their own to where they don't owe Donald Trump everything for being the vice president. They actually earned a lot of that on their own to be the vice president. I think Donald Trump needs to show the American people, he needs to show the Republican Party. He's going to take the best and the brightest. He's going to surround himself with those type of people. And he is truly going to put in the fundamentals to make America great again. All
right, Bob Vander Plaats, still cruising with Ted, but this time for the number 2 spot. Bob, thanks for your time tonight from Iowa.
Thank you, JD.
And you heard Bob right there use the phrase, make America great again. Does that foreshadow something in the days ahead? What do you think of what Bob had to say tonight? Love to get your calls, and you can call me at 1-877-NEWSMAX. That's 1-877-639-7629. Let's go to the very important state of Ohio, Newcastle, Ohio, to be specific. And Jim joins us from that town. Hi, Jim.
Hi, JD. Like your show. Appreciate you. I'm not sure I'd agree with your gentleman there about Cruz as vice president, but that's not up to me. I'm not going to have to make that choice. What I'd like to say about Trump, he mentioned evangelistic people. And one thing I've heard Trump say one time, somebody asked him something about Christianity. He said, I'm a Christian and proud of it. That's the only mention I've heard him make. And he's not going around bragging about it.
And you know, Jim, it's worth noting, too, that you go back and look at the exit polling, and many self-identified evangelicals sided with Donald Trump over Ted Cruz, especially in the southeastern United States. But when it comes to really knowing a man's heart, that's not the province of you or me, but instead a power greater than us both. You know, Jim, I just want to follow up with you on one other thing. You said, look, I don't agree with Ted Cruz as the pick, but I'm just wondering, Jim, there you are in Ohio. My old colleague, John Kasich, some people have been mentioning him, but if you could make the pick for number 2, Jim, who would it be?
Actually, if it was up to me, it'd be Condoleezza Rice, but I don't think she's... Could I make one more comment?
Absolutely. Very quickly, 20 seconds.
I think of what happened to me one time. I tried to live a Christian life, and I went to a new job, and the guy that I was replacing was being fired. He and I were talking just before he left. He said, you know, if I had to guess, I'd guess you're a Christian. I never mentioned that to him. And I think that's what Trump has done. These people have to go around bragging they're Christians. You know,
well, I appreciate what you say. As it says in the scripture, you will know them by their fruits. In other words, I guess we call it in modern parlance, proof of performance. Jim, we thank you for your calls and for your opinion tonight, and we'll talk to others soon, including Democrat Rick Unger. He's next here on Newsmax Prime.